This is the podcast overview for Module 1, where we will be covering Chapters 1 and 2. So each module will look just like this, and I will have a podcast overview for each module. And you really need to be listening to these. I can see who and how many people actually listen to these just by who clicks on the podcast. But let me say that if you're not listening to the podcast, you'll be missing vital information. So each podcast, I go over what to expect for the module as well as any work that's included in the module. So you don't want to be skipping listening to these. So you want to make sure that you've got your textbooks, you've logged into Plato and Revel, you're ready to go. And then your next thing that you would be doing is jumping down to here and checking out the objectives for chapters 1 and 2. So this introduces you to the topics that we're going to be covering for each chapter. And it's a good way to familiarize yourself with the material before you dive in. I always suggest to students a good thing to do would be to print this out or copy and paste it into a Word document and leave space in between each point. And then you can have room to take notes if you want. These are great to use to study for the test, these objectives. These objectives follow along really nicely with the lecture slides and all the main areas that you should be covering and familiar with for each chapter, and especially in preparation for exams. So, within each objective are multiple points. So, for example, when it says define and discuss social neuroscience, there's a lot of elements there. You break down social neuroscience. What is it as a field? When did it get started? What does it include? Why is it included in social psychology? So you want to make sure that you cover each point adequately and thoroughly. Some of these objectives might involve a model or steps of a model that you have to discuss or talk about. So just make sure that you're doing that, that you're giving examples of some of these objectives, like, for example, discuss how self-fulfilling prophecy may operate in certain applied settings, such as classroom environments. Well, first of all, what is self-fulfilling prophecy? And then what would be some examples of that happening in an applied setting? And when I say applied setting, it means real world, work, classroom, parenting, whatever real world setting you want to place that in. So that's how you use the objectives. And that's first and foremost before you dive into the readings. And then here I have actually posted the PDFs of these two chapters for you to get started, chapters 1 and 2. I'm only going to post the PDFs for those chapters, and then it's assumed that you'll have your book and be reading by the time the next module rolls around in 2 days. Here are the article readings that go along with Module 1. So for each module, you're going to have a couple different articles that go along with the textbook reading. These are very brief, short articles, kind of carve-outs of topics that are already discussed in the chapter. But they zone in on particular concepts that you'll be talking about in your discussion posts. So they're required readings for your discussion board postings. So I've posted the PDFs of the articles, and you'll want to make sure you read those along with the main chapters. Then I have your lecture slides for the module, so Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 lecture slides. You can print those out. They're done 3 slides to a page with notes off to the right. So you can print them out and have them next to you as you're reading and take notes in those margin note spaces on each slide. That would be a really kind of adequate and good way of making sure that you cover all the important material as you're reading through. So kind of matching up the lecture slides to the reading is a good thing to be focusing on. Any videos that I have for you in each module would be located right underneath the lecture slides. In this case, for this module, I have one video. It's a What Would You Do episode about a bike thief. And it's getting you to think about social cognition in terms of how we think, right? How cognition is our thinking, how we think in a social realm. And in this case, specific to race, specific to somebody doing something that's not okay, theft, and then how we use stereotypes and just our thoughts, our experiences to influence what we think about other people. So I've put some little kind of prompts here. These aren't questions that you're answering and turning in, but they're questions you should be able to answer after watching the video clip. Okay, it's a short one, and this is to get you thinking about the material in a way that applies to the concepts in the class. Once you've done all that, you've done the reading, and you've looked at the videos, you've looked over the lecture slides, then you're ready to dive into the discussion. And here's your discussion for Module 1. When you're ready, you're going to just click right here, and you're going to create a new thread where you answer these questions right here. Okay. Once you've done that, you're going to wait until the next day, and you're going to respond to 3 other people. Okay, so how I've set up the discussion posts is always you get 2 days to do them. The first day you're responding to these questions with an original post. And in that original post, you're going to be very thorough. You're going to incorporate any concepts from the readings. You're going to show me that you did the readings by mentioning examples from the readings, mentioning concepts, definitions, anything like that, that helps just enhance your answers to these questions. That's what you're going to be doing on the first day. And then the next day, after everyone's had a chance to post their original posts, answers to these questions, then you're going to go in and pick 3 people that you would like to comment on their posts. And when you comment on their posts, you're going to want to be also very thorough. You want to go beyond just saying, oh, I liked what you said, or I agree with you, or that was really good, I never thought of that. You want to really extend what's being said. What didn't they say? What could have been said? Did you have a different opinion? Did you use different examples? Can you elaborate on anything that they said? These are the ways that you extend the dialogue. Okay, so these should take you a fair amount of time. If you find that you're only spending a few minutes responding to other people, it's probably not enough. So if you need some help in knowing what to say or how to say it or what exactly I'm looking for, refer to this discussion board posting rubric. Okay, so out here I've outlined for you what a good post looks like, what elements it should have. So this would be something even good to print out and have next to you as you're doing your posts so that you know that you're getting everything as you're doing those. Okay. I would recommend writing out your original post in a Word document and then copy and pasting it into the discussion thread. Just in case you get kicked out or lose your work, you don't want to lose anything that you did. So that would be the best thing. Do not attach a Word document to the thread because that's extra steps I have to go in and open, and so does everyone else in order to read your post. You should be copying and pasting it right into the thread of the discussion. That way it's easy for everyone to access and we can all see your answer right there in the thread of the discussion. So I hope that makes sense to you. And you want to make sure that your post is showing up. So always double check and make sure that once you've submitted it, that your post pops up and you see it there in the list of people's posts. Here are the cite as you write instructions again, if you need to refer to those for how to cite both the articles that I give you and the text chapter. You'll want to make sure that you're citing that. If you're pulling information from those concepts, definitions, terms, anything, examples, you want to cite where they're coming from. And then lastly, you'll have an exam, and your exam will cover the first 2 chapters, the chapters that are in this module. The exam will be open until 11:59 p.m. on the 5th. So as soon as it turns midnight, it's now the 6th, right? And it would be late. And you will not be able to take the test. The test will close at 11:59 p.m. So make sure that you get that in on time. You've got 30 minutes to take the test. It's 30 questions. If you start at 11:45, you're only going to have 15 minutes, right? Because it's going to kick you out. Or actually, you'll have 14 minutes. It's going to kick you out as soon as it hits 11:59. So make sure you leave yourself plenty of time, the whole 30 minutes, to complete the test. It is a closed book, closed notes test. Of course, I can't monitor that, but there are some guidelines in place to make sure that people are mindful of that. Hence, you have 30 minutes to complete the test. That's not a lot of time on purpose to prevent looking up and referring back to any notes. If you're doing that, it's going to take you longer and you're not going to finish in time. You're going to find that you run out of time. But, it's comparable to the amount of time I would give in class. If I teach this in person, I generally give a 50-question test and students have 50 minutes. They have the class period. So it's very comparable to that. And so it's very fair for an online test. Just make sure that once you click into the exam to start it, you have to complete it in one sitting. You don't want to walk away and come back because your time keeps clicking away and you'll lose that time. So once you click in, you're obligated to take the test. Make sure you have a backup option. If it kicks you out for some reason, it should open you right back up into where you left off, but the time keeps going. So that's the one thing about Play-Doh. So that is your first exam on chapters 1 and 2. You've got your discussion posting, and that's pretty much it for your first module. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Please email me right away, and I will be happy to help.